people wonder, you've laid out a whole lot of reasons why there's unfair trade around the globe. But I think people wonder with why start with Canada and maybe even Mexico first. Just the idea that they tend to be better trading partners. We had a former U.S. ambassador, Bruce Heyman, the U.S. ambassador to Canada here earlier this week. He said, you guys went after those three because that's where the money is, because he thinks it is going to be used. It's money you need. You need to be able to show and start bringing that money in, and that's why them first.
Yeah, no, the reason it's first is because of the fentanyl crisis. I'd have to vigorously disagree with Ambassador Hammond that it's the fentanyl crisis on the southern border, on the northern border, and all these precursor drugs from China.
So I called it a radical departure. Maybe it's not really a radical departure. I want to talk about the dollar and wonder whether there's the slightest crack in what we've had from every Treasury Secretary. I mean, we always ask them the same thing. Over the years, I've been here so long, I've been through so many Treasury Secretaries. I've never heard a Treasury Secretary say that they're not for a strong dollar. But a weak dollar would really be an answer to a lot of what you're talking about here in terms of trade deficits, in terms of, we know what a weaker dollar does for future obligations that we have with $37 trillion in debt. That makes it a little easier. Lower interest rates implies probably a weaker dollar. Would you accommodate a weaker dollar at all? Is there any motivation at all to let that happen? Or do we have the strongest dollar policy that we've ever had?
Well, there's no change in the strong dollar policy, but I can tell you, when you think, what does a strong dollar mean? There's the Bloomberg Currency Index, and the dollar is very strong on that. Then there are bilateral trading relationships, and is the dollar strong or weak on that? And is it strong because of U.S. fundamentals? And I can tell you, we are committed, this administration, President Trump, are committed to the policies that will lead to a strong dollar. If we bring back more manufacturing, if we have cheap energy, good tax policy, deregulate, we will end up with a strong dollar. But what is unacceptable is, in a bilateral relationship, other countries trying to weaken their currency. And so we are against the currency manipulation on a bilateral basis, but globally, the strong dollar is very important. We will continue as a reserve asset, and I think anyone who has an inclination that this administration thinks differently on that's wrong.
As far as the president paying attention to the stock market or the equities market, or not paying attention, in the past, we've thought that is how President Trump, at some point, gauges his success as president. Now, he doesn't need to be reelected this time in 4 years. The market's been up 20% in the last 2 years, obviously. So is there any perception with him that he's playing with some house money? He said that at one point in the past. And I guess what I'm getting to is how long or what type of levels on the S&P do you think you would need to see where that might influence some of his policymaking decisions?
Yeah, look, President Trump takes in a lot of information every day, and stock market's part of it. That, again, as somebody who was on the other side for a long time, and you say, oh, where's the Trump put kick in?
There is no Trump put?
There's no put. The Trump call on the upside is, if we have good policies, then the markets will go up.
He says he's not watching the stock market very closely. Are you?
I watch everything, but
okay. What's the Bessent put? I mean, you are going. You know how the media covers things, and we're down 6% on the S&P. From what you read on a daily basis, it feels like we're down 60 at times. Although the Nasdaq is down in correction territory at this point. I'm just wondering if we ever went down 20% on the Nasdaq or 15% on the S&P, with people that want Trump to fail, that's going to be splayed across every newspaper in the world. I'm just wondering whether the tolerance for something like that for the administration?
Well, look, as you said, Joe, the market was up 20% last year, 20%
So there
the
is
year
some
before.
house money.
No,
you're playing with.
I'm going to put it another way.
Okay.
Did the Biden administration succeed? The American people weren't buying it just because the market was up. They voted out the Democrats.